Hey everybody, I'm Devin and this is my beautiful bride Amber. We are a married interabled couple, here to reveal or remind you that you are complete in Jesus Christ alone.
I didn't know he was going to say it, so nice.
Nice. Santa's the topic of the day.
Yes. So, we know people have strong opinions about this, and we have come to have our own strong, unpopular opinion about it.
Yes.
So, we would just ask that you
would hear us and listen to us with some grace.
Yes, and just at least think about it, because as human beings, even if we're, a Christian saved by the grace of God, we're still open to correction, so just hear us out. So as parents, obviously Devin and I are not parents yet, but that doesn't disqualify us from discussing this. As parents, when we're thinking about presenting something to our child or your child or whoever you are, I think it's important that we say, am I lying to my child or not?
Yes.
Is what I'm presenting true? So with Santa, ask that question. Is there any part of this Santa presentation, game, gimmick, however you do it, am I presenting this to my child as if it is true?
Yes. If God chooses to bless us with kids, we will tell them that Santa is just a fictional character, not a real human being. Lying is breaking one of the 10 Commandments, and that's part of the law of God.
Yeah. So even if you're lying to your child or any child, it's still lying. And I know this is going to be met with pushback and saying, well, you can't always be honest with your child. They're just a kid. They can't always handle what's actually truth and what's actually going on. I would push back on that and say it's never necessary to lie to a child.
Or to anyone.
Yeah. I think that's been so normalized.
I've heard people in the past tell their kids when their dog has died, the dog has run away.
Yeah, they want to kind of
soften the blow.
Yeah. So say maybe the dog gets ran over and they're afraid of how the child will react to that. And granted, that is a very difficult
situation.
Yeah, obviously. So they might say, well, the dog ran away, let's say Sparky, whatever.
Yep, Sparky.
So you say, hey, Sparky ran away. And then the child keeps asking, will I ever see Sparky? Do you think he'll come back? Maybe next week or today or... And say this child's asking for like years. And you have to just keep lying and lying over and over. And then finally one day you're like, Sparky got ran over.
Why didn't you just tell them that to begin with?
Yeah, and then trust is broken. And now you have lied before God. You have sinned not only against your child, but when you sin against people, you're sinning against God. So I think most people would look at this as like, oh, that's no big deal. But sin is sin. What if when it originally happened, you had just said, hey, Sparky unfortunately got hit by a car and he died. I know that's still going to be hard for the child, but it's not going to break trust. And of course, you don't have to give a bunch of details about how, how the dog looked or anything like that. You can just say what happened, leave out gruesome details, just give age-appropriate details. So that's just one example. But no, I reject the idea that you have to lie to children.
Yes.
And the Bible never says that you have to lie to children. It doesn't give an exception of lying if it's to a child.
Yeah, and what example is that to our kids?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're supposed to be training up in the way
of the admonition.
Yeah, of the Lord.
I'll put that verse on here too.
I kind of butchered it a little bit.
That's okay. They can look it up for themselves.
Yep.
As parents, we're supposed to be a representation of the gospel. Mm-hmm. The husband represents Christ. The wife represents the church. That's why keeping the family in that order is so important. I understand things happen sometimes, and maybe something happens to one of the spouses, but regardless, that's the way things are supposed to be because of the representation. So if we're supposed to represent the gospel, but we're lying to our kids,
yeah,
how does that represent the gospel well?
Yes. So what do you tell your kids about Santa?
Yeah, if you can't present him as real, well, what do you do? Because there's Santas at the mall, Santa this,
Santa that.
Yeah, like at the store, there's all these products. Well, kind of a solution, you could just say Santa is a character.
Based off of St. Nicholas, a bishop in the 3rd century who was generous with the money he had, as a picture of Christ being generous with his grace and salvation.
Yeah, just tell him about who Santa, or the person that Santa is based off of. You don't have to lie and say he's really at the North Pole.
Yeah.
That's an easy solution. Just tell them
the truth.
Yeah, the truth.
What? Right? I know, crazy, right?
And even if you want to do some of these, like, milk and cookies, whatever, you could just say, we're pretending.
Yeah.
Even if you want to do those traditions, like, just present it as if it's just a fun thing we do, not like that Santa's actually real. You want to enforce to your kid, like, not a lie,
Mm-hmm.
As long as there's some intentionality there, and as long as they don't know that present isn't from a real, like Santa, as long as they know, like, sure, you can still have fun with your kids in that way. And if you're saying, well, if I don't present them to it as real, that takes the fun and the magic
and
out
the
of
excitement.
Excitement, whatever. Well, then just know you're saying by taking the sin, i.e. the lying out of it, then it makes it not fun. Is that a good example for your kid or even for yourself?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times sin is presented as fun.
Yes.
And when you take the sinful aspect out of a lot of things in life, people might look at it as, well, that's not very fun. So I don't know if that's a good rationale for doing things. Saying, well, it has to be fun, because in order for me to not sin, I better be having fun. That's a slippery slope for a Christian.
Mm-hmm. And then how would that affect maybe the kids' faith?
Yeah, because with Santa, he's given these almost like
godlike attributes. He sees you when you're sleeping.
Yeah, that
He knows when you've been bad or good.
Mm-hmm.
So be good for goodness sakes.
Yeah,
Are you about to say the apologetics thing?
No.
No, okay.
I was going to say our version. Yeah, that song, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. That's Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been sinning. So stop sinning for goodness sake. So it's very confusing to a child to present them with this Santa godlike character as if he's real.
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing a gimmick Like, oh, Santa brought these presents, Santa ate these cookies that you set out, whatever. And
one was really probably just the dad.
yeah, or whoever. But yeah, you're literally pretending that someone is real when they're not. And these kids, they utterly trust you because you're their parents. God designed them to trust you. That could be a stumbling block to their faith.
Yes.
And you might be thinking, oh, Amber and Devin are just overthinking this. They're overreacting. But are we really, though? Like, so many kids that grow up in Christian households are...
Only 30% of those who are in a Christian household are still attending church in their 20s.
Yeah, the statistics are striking. And I don't remember where that specific one came from, but it's an alarmingly high number of kids that grew up in a Christian household that are not remaining in the faith. Really, they never were a true Christian. They just had their parents' faith and never
made the parents' faith their own.
Yeah, so obviously Christian parents are not doing something right. So even little things, or what appears to be a little thing like Santa, like, I think we should be taking each and everything very seriously. You know, we're supposed to intentionally disciple our children.
That takes a lot of intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just send them to Sunday school on Sunday.
I heard one guy say you can't just expect your kids to love Jesus by osmosis. And no, obviously we're not forcing our kids to follow Christ. Nobody can do that. Christ doesn't even force us to follow him.
No.
But the point is we have to intentionally disciple them and teach them the things of God. That's a biblical, concept to train them in that way that they should go.
Yeah. And when they're old, they shall not depart from it.
Mm-hmm. So I just don't think Santa should be looked at so flippantly.
Yes.
And so lightly. It's like, well, I just want to have fun and make memories. Well, then do it in a more biblical way.
Yes.
Like,
you do, like, one thing my parents always did was Jesus cake. Like a Jesus birthday cake.
That's a cute idea to me. And I know there's the crowd that say, well, you shouldn't celebrate birthdays and all that. I don't see what's wrong with celebrating the birth of Christ any time of the year. In fact, our little sign up here of the manger scene, the nativity scene, we're thinking about just keeping it up all year because, it's a reminder of the birth of our Savior.
And then right under we have a cross, so.
Mm-hmm. And even the colors, green and red, symbolize Christ. So
the green represents his eternal life. Mm-hmm. And then the red is the blood he shed for us.
Yes. Yeah, the green kind of relates to like an evergreen tree. So, yeah, it's just...
And that's another reason for a Christmas tree.
Yeah, right. So you don't have to introduce a stumbling block like Santa Claus into Christmas in order to make beautiful memories with your kids. Lying shouldn't be associated with good memories. How weird to think about that. Yeah, like, oh, I lied to my kid and that was a good memory. Like, what? That just sounds
awkward and weird.
Weird, yeah. And I realize most kids aren't like scarred.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty rare, but still, it can create a break in that trust, and even worse, a potential stumbling block to their faith. And you as a parent still have to say, you know what, I lied. That's honestly a sin that needs to be repented of. We may do a video in the future after doing some more research on why they chose December 25th. But honestly, we would celebrate his birth 365 days of the year. Yeah, as
and
we're
same
just
with
talking
Easter.
About. Yeah, why we're leaving up our little sign and why we have crosses as a reminder of the death of Christ. So, yeah, celebrate that all year.
And
proclaim him all year.
And celebrate his resurrection all year.
Yes.
That's the power.
You can't just have the death without the resurrection. Because
if you want to see a video about that, you can go watch our Easter video.
Yes.
Yeah, we hope this video was edifying for you.
Yes, and at least gave you something to think about.
Yes. We know that this topic is controversial.
Yes.
But we think it's very important to bring it up.
Mm-hmm. So, if you want to comment below or like or share this video, that would be great. And thank you so much for watching.
And if you feel led to support our ministry, the link is in the description below.
Yes, thank you.
Bye! The video you just saw was made by fallible Christians.
Although we diligently seek to represent the God of the Bible accurately, please understand that we are still being sanctified.
For absolute truth, please refer to the Bible.